Very pleased to have our guest back to the show again. He's been on a number of times, and he's here to talk about his latest album, The Similitude of a Dream, which comes out November 11th as part of the Neal Morse Band. Very pleased to welcome back Mr. Neal Morse.
Hey, Roy.
How are you, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Great. Happy to speak with you again.
Excellent.
What's new? What's new in Neal Morse's world?
Yeah. Well, of course, mainly right now it's all about the new album, right?
Yeah, of course. I haven't seen buzz like this on a new album in a long time. I mean, it seems like pretty insane and overwhelming, I think.
Oh, it's great. It's really getting a lot of good attention, and we've gone the extra mile with a lot of different things, with the videos and PR people and all that kind of stuff. And so I feel like this is the album to do it on.
Yeah.
This is the time. This album really deserves the attention, and I'm excited about it. All the reviewers I've talked to, they're going bonkers about it, and so yeah, it's really exciting.
Got a lot of questions on it. Some of the typical stuff, how you guys came up with the idea to write it and all that. But I'm wondering, you were mentioning all the extra promotion and videos and everything. So was this campaign something that you had envisioned before you even started working on this album as just a next step in something you wanted to do? Or after you guys heard the finished product, you were like, well, we have to do something better than the norm for this?
Well, it just kind of happened, one thing after another, one step at a time, It wasn't, it was a combination of a lot of things. And I was talking to Mike, like in August, and, he made the suggestion of some people to hire, and I said, oh, well, okay, if we can, let me talk to them. And, it was like one step at a time, one person at a time, one video. I had to make the decision whether to invest the money in doing a video shoot in LA, as we did. And yeah, I felt like, man, it's time to really go for it. And we've done a lot of good stuff in the past. I not like we didn't care about the other albums,
right?
But it just seemed like it was the time. Radiant is putting out this album all over the world for the first time. We're not using Inside Out, and Metal Blade is a distributor. Metal Blade Sony are distributing Radiant, so it's also on my label all over the world for the first time, and I'm wanting to do a very excellent job because it's such an excellent album. You would just want to try to have all the ducks be in a row and all the planets align and have the thing really shoot out of the gate with a bang.
Yeah, and handling all that business side of it, I'm sure, is another hat that takes a lot of time and energy from you to manage all of that. Some of the interesting elements on this album, you had brought Eric and Bill on board with the band for The Grand Experiment, and they sang a little bit on that one. On this one, they sing a lot. And almost at some critical moments, some epic parts where normally it might be you historically sort of singing, and now it might be Eric taking that direction and stuff. So how did that evolve into having them become such huge parts vocally on the album? And was it hard for you to let go of that?
Not really. I've had a lot of practice of letting go of vocal parts with Flying Colors, for example.
Sure.
Casey's voice is so great, and these guys, their voices are so good. We talked about it right at the beginning about wanting this album to be even more of a band-sounding album, and part of that would be sharing the vocals. And so that was something right from the very start that we wanted to do, and I think it came out great. They have great voices. Their ranges are higher than mine, so when you're only writing for my voice, there's a certain limitation there, right. And so it was cool to be able to write, some stuff that was a little higher, and give it to them, give it to Eric or give it to Bill.
I don't know how many people have heard the album by the time we post this interview or not, so without trying to give away too much, but I do want to ask you about some certain songs and moments.
Okay.
The album is 23 tracks. It easily could have been 5 or 6 20-minute songs or something, right? So
Right.
was the decision there something that was really thought about, or how'd you go about that?
That was a Mike thing. Mike always asked, he has certain areas that he likes to be over, and one of them is the tracks, how the tracks are divided. To me, this thing is one big 100-minute piece.
Right.
It's not really. People say, "Oh, wow, there's a lot of short songs on this album." I'm like, well, I certainly consider disc 1 to be the one big continuous piece. Really, there's some breaks on disc 2, but it's laid out kind of like, in a way, like Snow was,
Yeah.
where the whole first disc runs all the way through, and then on the second disc there's a few separated things and a couple pauses. It's kind of like that, but it's really one continuous piece.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, especially you're saying on disc 1, from City of Destruction to Back to the City is almost like side 2 of Abbey Road is how I described it. It's just, one part to the next part to the next part. And, and then you revisit some of the themes. So there's a few recurring themes on there. The City of Destruction one is a key one. And then one of the songs, or one of the tracks titled Makes No Sense, is like one of my favorite parts on the album. That part in that song at the end where you take the first chorus and then it goes, changes octaves, and Eric takes it and then it changes again and Bill takes it. That part is, to me, one of the highlights of the album. How do you write something like that, and how did you decide to do that key change and have them each take a part? Put me through the process of that.
I think that I had a little bit that I'd written in December. It makes no sense to me to live da 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 da, just like a little sketch of it. And then when the four of us got together to write in January, without Mike, not because we didn't want him here, but because he couldn't make it, he was too busy. But we wanted to kind of begin the process. And so we listened to a bunch of my little bits from my phone, and we liked the Makes No Sense thing. And as we started to write it, as we worked on it, I think we created those verses together. And I don't remember exactly, but I remember it just seemed like kind of a natural idea to want to change key, and then like, oh, why don't you sing this part, and then move to the next key and have Bill sing. It was just something that happened in the room. We just started trying it, and it, it's one of those things you just experiment around, and you try it, and everybody just says, yeah, that's awesome.
Was it shocking to hear Bill hit that note or at that end, or is that just he can do that? I mean, it's really high up there.
I think I was asking him if he could. He said, yeah, sure, I'll be able to do that. Yeah, okay.
That's really cool. So then, you move on further down disc 1 and you get to So Far Gone, which is sort of an Eric song, I guess. And you revisit that Make No Sense part right there. So when you're writing at certain points along that album, are you writing it with that in mind, knowing you want to repeat certain things, or are you writing it in a chronological order? How do you put that together at that time?
Well, I think at that point now we were following the story in the book.
Right.
So what happens is and I'm giving you a real brief synopsis. I'm paraphrasing a lot here. So guy's going on his path. He meets the worldly wise man who basically takes him off course just slightly. But as he goes on his way, he winds up kind of, I think in the book, he winds up, on the edge of a cliff, and there's like a big storm, and he, really gets in trouble. And that's kind of a So Far Gone thing, like, how did I get so far off track? I only made a couple different decisions, and now where am I, kind of thing. Right. And then in the book, the character Evangelist comes and tells the main character that there's like, I don't know, 5 pages of all the stuff that he says. We pared it down to just the gracious part. In the book, written in the century, it was written at the time that it was written, and some of the stuff that he says to him, I think, is pretty hard. Like, like, yeah, you better make sure, again, I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, you better make sure that you don't get off course because you're really going to get in trouble. We didn't go that route. We kind of went more of a, you can always get back on track. You can always come back to God thing, which of course is in there too. The God graciously invites him back in, but with a warning. But so we were following the story of the book there. And man, I love that part. It's one of the most touching parts to me is that the broken sky, the hint of broken sky, the you can turn, you're not too far.
Yeah.
King loves you with all his heart. That would really be evangelist talking to the Christian, and that I'm going from the book now. The main character's name is Christian in the book, and of course it's all a picture, it's all an allegory. And then, then he says back to him, really, do you think I can? Can I really be accepted still, even though I've gotten so far off track? And, so that's really, at the end, that's a conversation between those two characters. But, yeah, we were following the book and just following our noses and discovering it as best we could.
Yeah, that part's a real climax, and then ending it with Breath of Angels on disc 1 is great. One of the other highlights is The Way of the Fool, which allowed you guys to follow your Beatles sort of love a little bit. Tell me about writing that song, and to have that in there with even Bill singing it is such a change and makes the album, at that point, you're only in about, maybe 20, 30 minutes or something. And at that point, when that song comes in, I think that's when everybody can realize, wow, this album's really going to start going places. It's not the normal thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It's great the way that song worked in there. It's just perfect. I mean, it's just amazing how I feel like God just orchestrated this album and put things together. We didn't really necessarily know. We were just trying stuff, and then you kind of sit back and go, wow, that's just perfect.
Yeah.
Bill had written a song several years ago about this foolish guy that put balloons on his lounge chair or something in Los Angeles, but it went too high. He kept floating up he wound up in the LAX airspace, and they had to get helicopters to bring him down. Well, Bill wrote a song about that called The Ways of a Fool. And then we kind of took some of those ideas and the basic structure of the song and adapted it to this album and made it about the conversation with the worldly wise man. And I just think it came out great. And then that whole instrumental section in the middle, Bill was just sort of toying. That was another thing that he was sort of toying around with, and we expanded that, and yeah, it wound up being such a cool part of the album.
Disc 2, God, I could talk about a lot of songs on this thing, and because I've been fascinated. And when you have 100 minutes and so many tracks and so many different parts, it takes a few weeks to really learn it as someone just listening. And really, and you start coming back to certain moments that stick out for whatever reason. One that also stands out to me on disc 2 is Man in the Iron Cage. Sort of very bluesy, very rock. It has that sort of counterpoint with the you screaming verse and Eric singing the chorus. What's that part of the story, and and how did you write that part?
Yeah, the Man in the Iron Cage is a character in the book. And when I read that part, we couldn't use all of the characters in this book. In fact, we only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that happens in this book. It's crazy. We came up to that point, and we wanted to explore that part. I thought the Man in the Iron Cage is definitely, somebody that he needs to meet, and we need to delve into it. And I originally writing that, I was just sitting around with an electric guitar, just writing riffs. I had a bunch of different riffs, and we kind of listened through all the riffs and chose that one to be the main one. But originally, I think in my original version, I used a different riff as the main riff. I don't remember now. I'd have to listen to it. Yeah, I think I'm really happy with the way that whole thing turned out. That's really very much based on the book.
So when you were coming up with the idea for what the new album was going to be, did you then start looking for ideas and was it suggested to you, I guess, to do this, or reading this book being suggested, it sparked the idea to do a new album?
Yeah, last December I was sitting around the studio, playing and writing, and I felt like I had some good ideas, but I needed some direction. And sometimes having a story or some kind of lyrical idea will bring forth the music also, not just the lyrics. I remember somewhere back in my mind, I don't even know how long ago it was, but somebody had suggested to me on the internet that I do a concept album based on Pilgrim's Progress. And it's funny, a lot of people throw these things at me and they just go back in some kind of filing cabinet in my mind. But it came to my mind that day. I thought, oh, remember that thing? I don't know. I've never read the book. I don't own the book. I guess I'll Google it. So I Googled the Spark Notes and just kind of read the synopsis of the story and got some inspiration and, wrote like little sketches, just very little bits of like maybe the chorus of City of Destruction, and there was a little bit of that We Have Got to Go thing, and I think a little bit of the verse to Back to the City, a little bit of Makes No Sense, just little pieces, a little bit of Broken Sky, but a lot was missing, like a lot. And so it's kind of like I came in with a paintbrush and started painting with this idea, not knowing if the other guys were going to want to join me. And then they came in and started painting, and ultimately, we have all the colors of the rainbow, and the album's done, and it's amazing.
That's great, man. So live is the plan to play the whole album?
Yes, absolutely. Live, we're going to do the whole album. Hopefully, if the venue will allow it, we will also have video behind, and we're going to really do it up right.
The last few Morsefests, those have been really successful, and I think from everything you see on Facebook and the forums and the community, I think that's really built a real community around your music. I mean, do you pay much attention to that and the result of what that's brought on?
Oh yeah, isn't it amazing? It's really great. I'm so grateful. I'm working on the Morsefest 2015 audio right now, actually, because we're hoping to release that in the early, the first half of 2017. And I watched the tour document. I mean, not tour, the behind-the-scenes documentary, and it's just great. And you forget, wow, man, what an epic, what a great thing. Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, I think that's been the fun part for me and a lot of people that have come to the Morsefest events, is that you leave knowing, 100 more people that you didn't know like this music, and now you have other people that you can talk to and help turn more people onto it. And that's been a great thing that you've done with that.
Oh, man, thank you. Thank you.
So, I guess this is going to be sort of the next year of your life, is pushing this album, the tour, and more promotion and videos. Is that sort of the next, or you have other projects coming up?
Yeah, mainly it's all about this album. I did a blues album for the Inner Circle that's coming out in November. It's pretty cool. I'm going to be getting together with Flying Colors in December to do some writing, and we'll see where that goes, see how much we can come up with. And I'm excited about that. And then the Morsefest Solo Scriptura and Question Mark Live coming out in hopefully March. And beyond that, I'm not sure. We're talking about a lot of other things.
What about the Snow DVD, Morsefest DVDs? Is that on the horizon at all?
Yeah, that's on the horizon also, hopefully for the end of the year.
Wow. All right, so plenty to look forward to for everybody. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Neal, always a pleasure to speak with you, man. I can't say enough about the album. It's been great, and I'm sure it's going to get even better.
Thank you so much, Roy. Thanks for all your support, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll hopefully see you on the cruise, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
All right, buddy. Take it easy. Thank you.
Take care, bro. Bye.
Bye. Thanks to Neal for the interview. We're going to close with the recent single off of the Similitude of a Dream. This is So Far Gone. For news on the Neal Morse Band tour, please visit nealmorseband.com. And for upcoming news and interviews, please check theprogreport.com. Follow us on Facebook, at The Prog Report on Twitter, or download the podcast on iTunes. Thanks.
it feels so wrong. There's mountains in my way and I just can't go on. How did I get so far gone to who I am today? How did I get so far gone? I veered off to the left, I took the man's advice. With just one little step, but in the course of time. How did I get so far gone to who I am today? Now my life seems painted on, and I'm so far gone. Maybe too far gone to ever find the way. Hey, yeah, yeah. Woo! I used to seize the day, living from the heart. But I have lost my way, and now it's getting dark. How did I get so far gone to who I am today? Now my life seems painted on, and I'm so far gone. Maybe too far gone. Yes, I'm so far gone. Maybe too far gone to ever find the way.
You're not too far. The King loves you with all his heart, and every life can be made true. For I have seen the broken sky turn blue. The broken sky